Will Drew Brees' Saints get the best of Tom Brady?
No. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers will win this football game. Let me line this one up, line item by line item, and talk about this. First of all, we have to start here that Tom Brady has never lost to a team 3 times in one season. But I will help you out in ammunition. We just saw in 2017 that the Saints beat Carolina 3 times in one season. So it's going to be a battle of wills. Let's talk about how I read an article that said, and I quote, Drew Brees is used as an indicator of how great Tom Brady is. Whoa. And you know what the article was talking about? Drew Brees is amazing. And then there's Tom Brady. And that's a conversation that's going to be played out in the psyches of all of the players out there. We're coming out here fully strapped. And you know Drew Brees pregame, the hypest pregame speech giver there is, doing all that military stuff, everybody hype. And then you break the huddle, you're like, yeah! And then you see 12 over there looking at you like, 1 ring, 2, 3, 4, 5, another hand, 6. Okay, let's get past that, because this is a difference in the matchups of week 1, week 9, and this weekend. Let's see what has happened since the Bucs had 2 losses to the Saints this year. Bucs turned the ball over in those outings. Tampa Bay had 3 turnovers in both of those losses. But since then, the Bucs are averaging less than 1 turnover per game. Check. Tom Brady was horrible in those games. We know it. We know the numbers. We saw it. But since then, hottest quarterback going into the playoffs. Check. Offensive line struggle. Gave up 6 sacks in those games. But since then, only 1 NFC team has allowed fewer sacks per game than Tampa. Couldn't get the receivers involved. We know that AB was coming off the streets just learning the playbook, but now Mike Evans and Chris Godwin average a combined 93 yards per game in those. But since then, they have the highest scoring and yardage trio in the NFL. Check. Last point, because I'm going to hit you with everything and see what y'all got, if y'all still standing. Defense couldn't make stops in those 2 outings. Gave up 34 and 38 points. Look at you. You're leaning back. Uh-oh, you're like, damn, Wiley. But since then, the Bucs have held all 8 of their opponents under 28 points. Check, check, check. My point is this. I don't see how, really, the Saints are going to recover from the drastic difference in what they're going to see on this weekend versus week 1 and week 9. And you know it. Every player is built on mindset, conditioning, mind over matter. You see them out there, you're like, yo, we spanked them boys twice. Ain't no way they're going to – oh, whoa, what had happened? And that's what I see happening this weekend. Oh, it's going to be a Bucs victory.
Marcellus, you consider yourself an intelligent individual, correct?
Well, most people do to me, and I just think I'm all right. I went to a good school, though.
You did? You went to a good school?
I know how to dress it up.
I would say you're intelligent, fairly cerebral, all of those things. But what's interesting is the definition of insanity by some. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. See, Marcellus, you're giving me the same take over and over and expecting it to become good. You're watching the Saints beat the Bucs over and over, but expecting the Bucs to win. So, not my words. You're just quite literally embodying the definition of insanity. Okay. I don't think that Tom Brady has a chance, and I do think that Drew Brees and the Saints will get the best of Tom Brady because I have no reason to think otherwise. See, there are about 221 days in the offseason. Week 1, the Buccaneers, they play the Saints. The Saints, they win that game 34-23. Then there were roughly 56 days between the first time they played each other and the second time they played each other. And in between that time, we said, you know what? The Buccaneers will gain their Voltron. I've never used the word Voltron, but Marcellus
But I do.
They'll gain their Voltron.
If you say Transformers, I love you. Just keep going with it.
So in between those 56 days, we assumed that the Buccaneers would figure it all out. They'd mesh. They'd gel. Well, then, after those 56 days, they played each other again, and the Saints won that game 38-3. The score actually got worse for the Bucs. Now it's been roughly 70 days or 10 weeks, depending on how you want to do your mathematics, and we're going to see the game be played again. Ain't nothing changed.
Ain't nothing
Nobody's changed. It's going to be the same. And so I would have to be an idiot. I would have to be insane to think that there would be a difference.
You said it.
I'm not convinced yet that you are. But the Saints, I think, will do the convincing this weekend. Let's bring in a logical, intelligent, non-insane individual, Greg Jennings, to formulate his take. Greg, will Drew Brees' Saints get the best of Tom Brady this weekend?
They will. They will. For all the reasons that you just alluded to, Acho. There's nothing. And Marcellus, you can make every point and every stat that you want. But the last 5 teams that the Bucs played, they all have a losing record. Let's just be honest.
We ain't
lying. You're talking about a team that beat opponents that they should have beat, played well against opponents that they should have played well against. But when it comes to playing real opponents that they're going to be facing this time of year, they just have struggled. Give you a number, 25.
Ooh.
The reason why I give you that number is because that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers better get to as far as scoring points if they want to have a chance. Because every game that they've lost, and they lost 2 of those 5 games to those New Orleans Saints, they didn't score 25. New Orleans held them under 24. And everyone else in the games that they lost, they didn't get beyond that 24 mark. They better score. Another number, 4. Why am I talking about 4? I'm not talking about 4 quarters. I'm talking about those 4 down linemen that the New Orleans Saints have. That's all they need to get pressure on one truly Tom Brady, the GOAT. We all recognize him to be the GOAT, but we all understand what he struggles with. And that's interior pressure and edge pressure at the same time. And the Saints can provide that. And I'm mentioning all of these numbers and these stats. And there's one thing that stands out to me, because you can turn around and say, well, Washington had interior pressure and they had outside edge, but they didn't have the guys on the back end. They didn't have the guys that could really match up and boss up and say, I don't care who y'all got across from, because we beat you the first time, we pretty much murked you the second time, and you're coming in here again, and we gonna do the same thing. So I don't see why, and I get it. It's a different team because they've had more time. But New Orleans Saints are looking at the same timetable and saying, well, we have all our guys together. We haven't always been together all season long. We have now more time. And one more caveat, they got the better coaching. They got the better coaching. Period.
Reaching. This one of G's best.
I'll hand it over.
This one of G's best takes. My God.
Well, low expectations, low standards. Then, if you're gonna say that's one of G's best takes, because G, he built up something, but it was built on a weak ground. It was built on a weak premise. Now I gotta cut you. Let's talk about this. You want to bring up Tom Brady and say, well, we can't really give him credit for these last 5 weeks based on opponents. The last 5 opponents. Okay. Well, let's look at Drew Brees, since you want to talk about the context of the playoffs being different than the regular season, and talk about the last 5 times we've seen Drew Brees in the playoffs. Does he have a winning percentage or a losing percentage? Losing. What about points per game with Drew Brees and this potent offense? And let's talk about Drew Brees. This is 13-3 teams we're talking about, a couple of them. 21 points a game in the last 5 playoff games. 10 touchdowns total and 6 turnovers. That's not Drew Brees as normal. And as I always say, we saw Drew Brees last year on the football field looking like the 3rd best quarterback on that field. That includes his backup. So let's not get into context of 5 games this year or the last 5 games of the playoffs, because Drew Brees will lose that argument. Let's move to another argument you guys try to make, and it was more Acho. Acho want to say it's been 221 days since they played the first game in the offseason. And then another, 56 days, you said, Acho, for the second outing. Oh, and then he said, well, you got to be insane to think it's something that's different. Tell me if this is insanity. The Browns lost 38-7 to the Steelers in Week 6. What happened last week? Oh, what about the Rams? They lost to the Seahawks by double digits in Week 16. What happened last week? Oh, I guess a lot of insanity is running amok in these NFL streets right now. Yeah, show his face, because I don't know where y'all coming from. Like, people don't evolve. Teams don't evolve. They don't mature. They don't grow together. Y'all really gonna act like these Tampa Bay Bucs are the Week 1 Bucs? Or the Week 9 Bucs? Oh, bruh. And y'all gonna walk in there making the fatal mistake that the Saints are gonna make. That's the same team we beat up twice. Okay. Watch what happens after the Bucs show up differently.
Marcellus, I didn't say that insanity is doing one thing and expecting a different result. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I didn't say that you can't play a team twice and see a different result. No. But the fact of the matter is, we saw the Saints beat down the Bucs once.
Yeah,
Then
just like the Steelers beat down the Browns.
Down the Bucs again, over and over. And so now you try to be expecting a different result. No, it's not the same thing.
What?
The same thing would be, it just happened once.
Tell that to
because
Pittsburgh.
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me for believing in you that you wouldn't fool me again. You out here getting fooled 3 times, coach. I don't know where the shame finna fall, but it's not falling on me and it's not falling on G because we're not getting fooled again. Again, don't let these Bucs fool you. I don't know if you bought Buccaneers stock. I didn't know that they went public. I don't know that you bought stock in the Buccaneers. But, sir, please sell it before it's too late. Please, please, please sell this stock because it's about to come crash.
I know you want to go to the stock market instead of just to my take. Stock market way in New York. I'm right here, bro. You ain't say jack about my take. You just start talking poetic about insanity.
The issue with your,
go ahead.
I'm going to say something about your take.
Thank you, G. Since you cover games, talk to me.
I'm going to say something about your take because you mentioned the Cleveland Browns and you mentioned the LA Rams. Well, did they get swept?
That's my point.
By the Seattle Seahawks?
That is my
Did the
point.
Cleveland Browns get swept?
Cleveland. Neither one of those situations were exactly accurate because they start resting starters in those situations. But you barely beat the JV. So go ahead. I want to hear the take still.
The point that I'm making is that all of your guys played every single game.
Oh, you thought I was done with my
all of the New Orleans Saints guys played. So when we look, and they might have been missing a few, but it didn't look like it. They needed them to be missing more. But my point is,
make a point.
They swept your team. They swept this Tampa Bay team, and nothing for the New Orleans Saints has gone in reverse. They get Trey Hendrickson back. They get him back. 13.5 sacks this year. Morris at the linebacker position. He's bringing heat. You got all these guys in the secondary. And this is the problem that I have with most of your tape. You're trying to make it out against to be Tom Brady versus Drew Brees.
No, not me.
Okay, yes, we all agree. Tom Brady's a better quarterback. Okay, good job.
Clap for yourself.
But Drew Brees has the better team. And that's what he bringing. He turning around like these. Y'all ready? We good? Okay, let's go.
Thank you, G.
Because we going to whoop you.
It's easy.
And yours.
It's easy.
Period.
It's easy.
Okay. You know what? You made the same mistake that so many people make in society
You ain't make no mistakes, G.
Okay, you're right. I shouldn't even say you made a mistake. I just don't believe in what he's talking about, girl. This is the problem. My takes are full of information. And your takes, Acho's takes, y'all just want affirmation. Y'all hear the top line. Like, Acho comes out with a poem every time, and then he has nothing else to say after that. And G, you actually have more to say, but you don't have a poem. And then all y'all really want is somebody just to say, hey, the Saints gonna win, right? Yeah. Okay, well, everything I say is right. I'm not like that. I'm saying listen to everything I say and then make your conclusion. Oh, a lot has changed. But since y'all want to say, Marcellus, I don't even want to talk about Tom Brady, Drew Brees, well, let's talk about the defense. I told you the Bucs. Top 10 defense as well. This is when y'all start reading books like yesterday. What about the Saints defense that allow the same yards per play as the Bucs? Oh, what about they have the same number of takeaways? So in terms of given opportunities, it's going to be the same. But y'all keep telling me how much better this Saints defense is. Okay. How about the fact that the Bucs have more sacks and more quarterback hits? But y'all keep telling me that the Saints have a better defense. Okay. How about the fact that in the red zone, the Saints are pitiful, 29th in the NFL? But y'all keep telling me that all I'm saying is Tom Brady's better than Drew Brees, and that's a wrap. I'd like to hear something different, or we could just put it on the line. G. Gentlemen bet, because I'm telling you, these Bucs got it.
G, allow me to end this, sir, if I may. Marcellus, it's not that we look for affirmation as opposed to information. It's that your information is irrelevant. Why? Sir, if you're in another country and you go get a different degree, if you go study this and you do all these things, you study, you go to school, you go to grade school, you go to grad school, the problem is, it's not that you don't have that information. But when you come to America, that stuff is rendered void because in this domain, it's not applicable. It's not that the Buccaneers didn't accomplish all of these things that you're telling me that they accomplished. It's not that they didn't do all that. The problem is when they enter into the domain of the Saints, it is void because it's not applicable. So all those 40-point games that the Buccaneers had against the Falcons, against the Lions, putting up 26 against the Vikings and beating them boys down, going to Washington and beating them down, that is great. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm not saying those statistics aren't real. I'm not saying that that information is not existent, but it is void when it comes down to the Saints. So me and G don't waste time talking about all your statistics because once your statistics enter into this domain, They're void.
Okay, void this then, big dog. Tom Brady's hotter recently than Drew Brees. Void that. Void this. Tom Brady has had a better individual season than Drew Brees. Void this. Bucs score more points in their playoff game than the Saints. Void this. The Bucs offense is hotter. Void this. The Bucs average more points in the regular season than the damn Saints. Void all that, and then we gonna see what kind of show we're gonna have. Huh?
Void this,
what?
Because we got the same notes. Tom Brady versus opponents he's lost to during the regular season. Last 5 playoff
Talk
games.
about it, G.
0-5.
Talk about it, G.
I ain't got them
Talk
notes.
about it, G.
I ain't got them notes. No.
You ain't doing your research.
You need to update your edition of your notes, my brother.
Okay.